Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and well, Blizzard on Friday did a bunch of trinket tuning. So most of it was for trinkets that don't really matter and aren't going to get used, but some of it's actually important, specifically Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet. Now there are a few other trinkets that have got buffed out to be good, we'll go over that, but today's video is mostly going to be focused on the Mega Magnet and how to use it, stuff like that. We'll also talk about the other good trinkets, but Mega Magnet is going to be basically all in raid now, and it's very, very strong. So we'll talk about that. So like, comment, subscribe. We're going for 15,000 subs by the end of the year. Should be able to make that hopefully, but anyways. And let's get on to it. All right, so here we are on the hot fixes. Now, as far as I can tell, there was no actual blue post by Blizzard. But basically most things that are just damage procs got buffed by roughly 20%. So it affects a lot of things. The most important ones are the Blackwater Pirate, which is from a Noggin Fogger's Delve trinket, which is really strong. We'll go over it. Wax Whistle also ends up being pretty strong. And then finally, we have the big one, in my opinion at least, is Junk Maestro's Mega Magnet. There also was a buff to Mr. Lock and Stock, which makes it pretty good. But it makes the damage procs much better. So you hear, 218, 252, and the coefficient was also improved. So much better trinket. And it actually is going to be very powerful for. So for people that weren't aware, this trinket was pretty good. But because of this buff, it is going to be a lot better. So basically what it does is that you have this trinket, and every time you use your abilities, you have a high chance of getting a stack. You use it and it deals damage per stack to your target, and then also does 10% of damage to 5 nearby enemies over 6 seconds, which is not that big of a deal, but it is a little bit of damage there. It's roughly I think 3% of your damage overall as a trinket, plus an agi buff, which is pretty nice. Overall, pretty strong. So big thing here is sim. So this is the sim that Azor posted. It's gonna be a little higher than the one I did. I don't know what other different stuff he had, but you can see here that Mega Magnet and Kazan, as well as Mega Magnet and a few other things, are all ahead of current gear. Current gear is Eye of Kazan and House of Cards, which was our best one before. Or sorry, it was Sephorium and House of Cards, Eye of Kazan, Sephorium, and Eye of Kazan, House of Cards, all the same basically. We can see here that anything using Junk Magnet is now much better. Junk Magnet Thug, Junk Magnet Briary, Junk Magnet Lock and Stock, Junk Magnet Sephorium, and then all these ones up here with Junk Magnet Kazan, Junk Magnet House of Cards, and so on and so forth. That's his sim. My sim's a little different because I included non-raid trinkets in mine. Now again, ignore the drop in numbers. I don't know what a little different there, but it shouldn't matter that much. You can see here that these are still basically the same. Lock and Stock gets a little bit higher. Wax Whistle ends up being very good. This is just a passive damage proc, which ends up being pretty strong on a single target. And then we also have Noggin Fogger Ultimate Deluxe, which sims crazy now. I don't know why they buffed this. I don't think they needed to, but it's just a 2-minute delve trinket basically. But these are all the trinkets that are better than what we had before. So these buffs are honestly pretty nice. Junk Master's Mega Magnet, whatever, is obviously the clear winner, and you're going to want to pick one of these up if you don't have one already. But even getting a Wax Whistle is going to be pretty good. A Lock and Stock is going to be pretty good. If you have Noggin Fogger, I would go use that, but if you don't have it, I don't think it's worth it to hunt down, because it's not as good with some of the other stuff. I don't know. It's just a 2-minute sum with a pirate. It's good, but I don't really think it's worth farming over. I don't think the delve trinkets are better than max mythic eye level stuff. But if you can't get mythic, this will be your best trinket. So good luck with that one. But yeah, I mean just having new trinkets come in. So unfortunate if you've managed to get a lot of other trinkets that I guess you can always go and item restore them, which is the thing. But Mega Magnet, it's one of those weird trinkets where it might not be super clear right away on how to use it. So we're gonna go in game. I actually have one of these on Heroic, I believe, and we're gonna go in game and I'll talk you through how to use it, macros and stuff like that as well. So let's hop in game. All right, so here we are in game, and you can see here I do have a Mega Magnet. I have a Heroic one. Hopefully we get a Mythic one. Funny thing here too is that I actually ended up getting 2 woo ones. So I have a champion one and an L4 one too, which is kind of funny. But yes, I've gotten that on every single eye level you can get now. So what this trinket does is that every time you use an ability, so we'll just go up and hit this dummy, I guess, till we get one. Oh, I got one immediately. So we get stacks of this ability, which scale over time. So we just use abilities here. Eventually, hopefully, we'll get another stack for the Mega Magnet. There you go, we got 2. So those scale, and then it's an on use that deals damage per charge, and then deals 10% extra of that as a little dot over time. So you might be thinking like, oh, we want to stack this up to 30. It goes up to 30. And then, you know, once we're at 30, we want to use it and boom. Well, no, actually these stacks scale 1 to 1. So it's not actually that big of a deal. If you're at 1 or at 30, it's the same damage, so to speak. Fun fact too, Demon's Blade does proc it. So that's fun. Also proc winning streak. However, what you really want to do with this is just use it whenever you have a crit buff. So there's 2 crit buffs that matter here. The first one is initiative, so eventual retreat, obviously. Other one is our tier set. So the 4-piece part where entering demon form sacrifices all your winning streak stacks, giving you a crit. You want to ideally use it when you have both of those. Now that does mean that you can't just macro it or anything, but if you want to and you know you're lazy, you could just macro it to eventual retreat. But realistically, what that would look like is that you know I eventual retreat, I-beam, and then just use my trinket, and then it would deal damage, it would crit hopefully, and just deal a ton of damage to the target, and then we'll just go in and go in and go in, and we'll save it up again until the next time when we have both our initiative buff and the crit buff from our tier set. So you know we'll just DPS rotation here again, so we get our thing back, yada yada yada, boom boom boom, using all of our buttons. And then it'll come back in about, you know, 5-10 seconds. And then once we have everything again, boom, we'll use it and we'll hopefully crit and just deal a bunch of damage. That's quite literally it. It's really not that complicated to use it, but you know, bench retreat, I-beam, mega magnet, boom, 2.46 million. That's really it. If you're lazy and you don't really want to time it after you use your I-beam, which, you know, again, totally fine, then you can just use a macro to macro it to eventual retreat. So from a macro pane here, I have it here. So show tooltip, cast and retreat, use 13. I would use my top trinket here, use 14 when you use the bottom trinket, and that just basically would tie it up so that whenever you have initiative up, I would always use it. Now that is a slight loss, but it's much easier to deal with basically. But I would recommend just kind of, you know, using it with I-beam. Don't macro to I-beam. You know, you're thinking, oh, I'll macro to I-beam, it will cancel it. So, you know, if I do I-beam and then this, oh, I had no charges, but it would just cancel it. So there's not really much point in doing that. You'll just, you know, like waste your I-beam. You won't get full channel from it. You won't get your haste buff. Not very valuable to do that. So really simple stuff. Really just use it with eventual retreat and I-beam with initiative and the crit buff. Or if you're lazy, just macro to with eventual retreat, and you will get pretty full value out of this trinket. Again, it's pretty passive. It does put other trinkets on cooldown though. So if I equip my my signet here, Signet of the Priory, which obviously will have the 30-second cooldown here, but if we wait like 10-15 seconds here and I use the trinket, it will put it into a spot where it won't be able to use it here. So 18 seconds there, I use it, puts it back up to 20. So unfortunately, it does make it so you can't use other on uses. So keep that in mind if you're trying to pair this with another on use, that you have to be kind of cognizant about when you're using it. But really it's not that bad, and honestly I think it's pretty straightforward to use to most of its value. All right, and that's kind of it for new trinkets. Really just using the mega magnet to get the most out of it, you know, crit buff, all that stuff like that. But there's a ton of other strong trinkets too if you want just like a passive. Lock and stock's really good now in single target. The wax whistle is really good in single target. You have the pirate trinket from Delves. But mega magnet will be your best option if you're playing around it. It's kind of like bomb dispenser from Aberrus, you know, where it's like, okay, yeah, let's buff this with the crit stuff. That's how you get the most out of it. But if you don't want to do that, other options are there that are still pretty good. There's a lot of trinkets now that are within like 0.5% of each other, which is like honestly really good balance from Blizzard's part. So I'm pretty impressed there. Good job, Blizzard. And yeah, so cool stuff. Again, this is just for raid. Mythic Plus remains unchanged. All these trinkets are just damage procs that are mostly only valuable in single target. Don't really matter in AoE. So just grab your mega magnet, start blasting junk everywhere, throwing trash at people, and you should be doing a pretty sizable amount of damage. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you're going to use this. If not, whatever. And yeah, 15,000 subs at the end of the year. Hopefully we get there, and I will see you guys next time. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you to Alexander Trifunovic, Rukaza, Fear Redefined, Loose Change, Jorge Polenko, Matthew Barr, Zuligan, Gabriel Correa, Magic Man 133, Falafel Darren, Dark Terror. Thank you all so much for watching the videos and supporting the channel. Again, just thank you everybody for helping support. But if you want to support me a little extra, consider becoming a channel member. Have your voice read at the end of each video, as well as a little bit of a different role in the Discord. So again, thank you all so much. Appreciate you guys watching, liking, commenting, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.